Okay, so how's it going, guys? This is Ryo Murata, photographer based in Tokyo. So Kabukicho Tower, ikitakunai. I really don't want to go, but if you guys know about Kabukicho, it's, how should I say, it's like one of the most areas that I don't want to go personally, because it's actually where the underground economy of Japan lies, and it's sort of like a location where people follow you. They kind of try to lure you into one of those restaurants, and you end up paying more than you expected, and those kinds of troubles happen frequently within this area. And there are also those people who start to catcall you on the streets. Is that a Fuji GW690 Mark III with Kodak Gold 200 installed? Oh yeah, and it's like one hell to be in, so I typically never walk around this area. Unfortunately, I have to say and I have to admit that the Tokyo Corporation, which specializes in sort of like architecture buildings and stuff like that, high rises, actually they made a new building recently called the Kabukicho Tower, and you have guessed it, and a lot of YouTubers have mentioned it, or I guess tourists have been saying that it is a distinctive location which has this sort of like cyberpunk vibe, and I wanted to visit there, and I kind of waited patiently for the sort of like, I guess, the crowd to sort of like subside, but that area continues to be filled with a lot of people, so I thought, okay, why not just go there, shoot photos with my film camera, and just showcase that area specifically. I was looking at my fridge, I realized that I had one last roll of Cinestill 800T, and like I said, this area has a cyberpunk vibe, so Cinestill 800T is up to that task, and I actually went there with my Nikon F3 Cinestill 800T. FYI, this Kabukicho area, I highly suggest not bringing the most expensive camera gear lenses combo that you could think of, because like I said, this is one of those super gray areas that you never know what would happen, and honestly, if you get like into some trouble, or your precious cameras might get taken away or stolen, That's why I went with the Nikon F3 instead of the GW690. One of the great things about like 35mm format during this time, especially when shooting with the Cinestill 800T, is that you have to keep in mind that 35mm film system, typically the lens itself is, you can get a super bright lens such as f1.4, f1.8 at decent prices, especially from the Nikon side. Unlike medium format cameras, which typically their prime lenses are slower. They're like the GW690 shoots at, the widest is at 3.5. Mamiya 7's 80mm f4 is the brightest you can get. When you're shooting in super dark environments handheld, 35mm is actually the way to go because you can sort of like gather more light into the film negative, while the sort of like the medium format typically suffers more and you have to like use a tripod to compensate. So this is why I actually use the 35mm for this case. For your information, the first floor is actually sort of like a restaurant area, so you can sort of like experience that cyberpunk vibe if you're into like drinking and if you're into like eating something, maybe dinner there. And on the second floor is sort of like an arcade, sponsored or I guess organized by Presto, which was later acquired by Bandai Namco, if I'm right. So if you're into like gaming, if you're into arcade, if you're into like UFO catching, that is a great location to do it. And above that floor, above those floors, you get some kind of entertainment floor, such as there's a dance hall, there's like a planetarium, if I'm right, and some kind of like oval hall for musicals and stuff like that in a hotel and stuff like that. So it's sort of like a multi sort of like duplex complex kind of building, which you can entertain yourself, your friends, your families when you're in Tokyo. So it's actually a great location for like a lot of tourists who are like into that sort of like cyberpunk vibe. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys like enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, I'm happy to reply. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace out.